Wondering what upcoming Broadway shows to see? Up next, our panel of opinionated theater experts tell us their must-sees. Hello, I'm Patrick Pacheco. Welcome to Theater All the Moving Parts. I'm joined today for a thrilling preview of one of the most crowded Broadway spring seasons in memory. Sorting it all out with me are Ruthie Fierberg, Executive Editor of Broadway News, Adam Feldman of Time Out New York, and Jan Simpson, theater journalist and host of the Broadway Radio podcasts, Stagecraft and All the Drama. Welcome, Jan. Welcome, Adam. Welcome, Ruthie. And thank you for joining us to talk about this cornucopia of shows before the Tony nominating deadline comes around. 9 musicals will open before that deadline to join the 6 that opened last fall. And right off the bat, The Days of Wine and Roses, which of course was off Broadway and is now transferring to Broadway, a new Adam Gettle musical, which is always exciting, with an exciting cast in Kelly O'Hara and Brian Darcy James. Jan, you saw it, I think, off Broadway.
I did.
What do you think?
It's a tough show about a couple that surrenders to alcoholism and battles with it. So it's a tough show, but they are wonderful. It was based originally on a television show, I think Playhouse 90, one of those Golden Age TV shows, and then a movie with Jack Lemmon and Lee Remick, and then now we have this musical. And I really enjoyed it. I really did.
Adam?
Oh, yeah, it's an extremely intimate show. So really, although it's a full score, it is almost a chamber opera, and it's almost focused exclusively on those 2 singers. They sing everything in the show. There's a third singer who comes in at a certain point and sings a little bit, but really it's almost a duet show.
2 people stranded at sea, 2 people stranded are we are.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a dowser in the desert,
With all this water everywhere, with all this water everywhere.
flying through the ocean, swimming in the air.
I'm drowsing in the desert and I don't hardly care. I don't care 'cause I have you now. You are all I need.
Some bubbly, something fizzy and evanescent.
It's very much a tribute to Alcoholics Anonymous. The movie certainly was, and this is in that tradition. I think that the authors have experience with that world and seem to be drawing on it. It seems to be very an emotional project for them. I'm not sure it will be for everyone, but I certainly agree with Jan that the 2 stars are extraordinary.
Ruthie?
Adam Gettle's score is just so emotional, so palpable. I think it's really gorgeous, and it's true. It feels like almost like an opera piece, but I think that's actually because Craig Lucas's book weaves so seamlessly into it. There's a decent amount of book in this, but I actually have not seen Kelly O'Hara better, and that is saying something.
True. It was so highly anticipated because we haven't seen an Adam Gettle musical on Broadway since Light in the Piazza, which of course was an enormous critical hit, as well as actually did very well at the box office.
Yeah, and I'll just add that this has been a project that Adam and Kelly have been talking about since the days that they were working on The Light in the Piazza. So it's a long time coming, but you have now the maturity of these 2 performers.
I don't think anyone's expecting it to be a hit like Light in the Piazza. Light in the Piazza, for whatever, I mean, I don't think it should have left people dancing on air, but it did. I mean, I think it's a great show, but I think it's actually a very dark show.
Another show highly anticipated that did have an out-of-town tryout is The Notebook, based on the novel by Nicholas Sparks.
I've got a secret to tell. I'm falling in love. nothing else matters, 'cause one day I'll carry you home.
Ruthie, are you looking forward to this one?
I am very excited about this one. I think people of my generation know the movie starring Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling a bit better than even the book, but the book was extremely popular. The movie iterated on it slightly, and the musical is going to do the same. In the movie, you have two actors playing each of the main roles in this love story. Allie and Noah fall in love when she and her wealthier family are summering in South Carolina. He's, working class, and it's this whirlwind romance that takes twists and turns and a will they, won't they a little bit. And you have the older couple reflecting on that. In this version, you're going to have 3 actors playing each of the roles, younger, middle, and older, as they're called.
Ingrid Michaelson wrote the score for it. She's a very successful indie singer-songwriter.
I've waited every day to feel the way I feel. Knots in my stomach, the kind that never heal. Butterflies that fly in me and never seem to go away.
She was on Broadway briefly a few years ago in Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812, but this is the first time she's going to have a score of her own on Broadway, and it was very well received in Chicago.
Another show that was well received, and there was a central performance that was very well received, and that was by Malaya Joy Moon in Hell's Kitchen, which tried out at the Public Theater. Adam?
The
You saw
score
it,
for
I
that
think.
one is by another little-known indie singer-songwriter named Alicia. Am I getting this right? Alicia Keys.
Alicia.
Yeah, and so this was a huge hit at the Public earlier this season in its off-Broadway run. It's pre-sold on the strength of Alicia Keys' pop hits of almost 20 years ago now.
There's a place where the rhythm of the city is music, where every corner has a story and every window is a kaleidoscope, where a girl can step out of her apartment and find the world.
Specifically, the singing and the dancing in this show are so extraordinary, especially really the singing. The plot for me is conventional. The music and lyrics are pop songs. They don't really necessarily work as musical theater songs in a traditional way, but they came together for me when I saw it at the Public to create a very exciting whole experience and portrait of a certain moment in New York. So
Felt very New York.
yeah.
Yes, coming of age. Actually, it's set in Manhattan Plaza, which I'm a resident. So it's really Midtown.
Really
New
close
York.
to home for
And
you.
it's obviously a coming of age tale, how Alicia Keys, it's semi-autobiographical. And help me out here. Who choreographed? I'm sorry, go ahead. Who
I was going to say,
choreographed it?
Camille Brown choreographed
Thank you very
it.
much.
She's a Tony nominee as well. I love her movement. What's interesting is that there is actually a singing and a dancing chorus.
Yeah.
At times the dancers sing and at times the singers dance, but really it's gone back to like this old school format of musicals, and that really allows the dancers to come to life. It felt very In the Heights to me.
Yeah.
A New York-based story, really choreographically grounded, a coming-of-age self-identity realization kind of thing. The singers are astounding if they bring the full cast, which I think they will.
I think they will. I don't see how
Shoshana
they
Bean,
do it.
Brandon Victor Dixon.
Brandon Victor Dixon.
And of course, Malia, who you mentioned. I did want to mention, though, that the 3 musicals you just named are all directed by Michael Greif.
Yes, insane.
Yes, that's right.
Which
This is
is
the Michael
insane.
Greif Festival.
Michael Greif's...
Broadway is
and-
coming to Greif.
Right.
Coming to Greif this spring.
Shelley Williams is co-directing The Notebook with him, but 3 Greif musicals in a row, that's insane.
And he is one of Broadway's most underrated
Absolutely.
creators. It's crazy. He's never won a Tony
Yeah.
Award, even though several of the shows that he's worked on have in the years that he directed
They've
them.
also won Pulitzer.
Yeah, and they've
Yes.
won. I mean,
It's
he's done
monumental.
extraordinary work for so long, and maybe this will be the year that
Let's hope
the
so.
Tony
The
Awards wake up.
The year of Greif.
Yeah.
Jan, another musical that's transferred from the Public is Suffs.
It's a musical by Shana Taub, who's doing sort of a Lin-Manuel Miranda thing, where she did the book, she did the music, she did the lyrics. She's in it, or she was in it down at the Public, so I assume she'll be in it on Broadway as well. And it's about the suffragist movement, the movement to passed the 19th Amendment to give women the right to vote. And it, just as Hamilton used actors of color to play the founding fathers, this play is all female identifying actors. So some cis women, some trans women, and women of all different ethnicities and abilities. There were women who used a wheelchair. There was a woman who used a wheelchair in the play down there. The play was a little rough, the musical was a little rough when I saw it, but it has really good bones. And I think if it really focuses in on the generational split in the suffragist movement, that will give it the sort of punch that it needs.
The young are at the gates, the young are at the gates, silent and delirious, the young are at the gates, 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 shivering and serious.
It also, she really wants to be as inclusive as possible, so she also looks at some of the black suffragists at the time, and she needs to find a way to weave those two things together, which is very difficult because the white suffragists, some of them at the time, back at the turn of the last century, weren't as welcoming. They were not as inclusive as
They put them
is.
at the back of the line.
Absolutely.
And some of them were not going to have it and marched right up to the front of the line,
And
which
so-
was kind of exciting.
So she needs to find a way to do that.
But I've heard they've done a lot of work on it, so I'm excited to see if they use those good
This
bones,
is
as
the
you
one I
say.
really am excited.
There's another musical that's coming down the pike, Water for Elephants, which fuses circus arts
Yes.
and puppetry with a romantic story. And like The Notebook, it's also a romance.
And also based on a book.
And also based on a book.
A dazzling new musical is coming to Broadway, full of spectacle and life and love, unlike anything you've seen before. Water for Elephants, based on the best-selling novel. Get ready to feel alive.
You saw a 20-minute presentation.
I did.
Tell us about that.
What they did for the industry presentation was, rather than show kind of the whole thing at music stands, they said, we're going to show you 20 minutes really done with the puppetry, with the circus elements, because it is so integral to this show. So I think that design-wise, visually, it's going to be really exciting. Steve Carell is their circus choreographer who worked on Cirque du Soleil Paramore, so if that gives you a sense of kind of the grandiosity of the movement. The music is from Pigpen Theater Company, so it's a collective that writes. It's got that indie sound to it as well, so another Notebook similarity.
There's only one road in this godforsaken life. It winds before it plummets from a godforsaken height. But you're gonna have to walk it, so you might as well have fun.
But I think what distinguishes it is going to be this puppetry element. It's not a Lion King puppetry. It's not an Avenue Q puppetry. It really is inventing. And
Is it kind of a Life of Pi?
Not even. They really are using, because within it, they're also using all different types of puppetry. There was shadow puppetry. There was kind of a paper mache hand puppet. There is, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a horse that's really significant for those people who know the book. And the way they're doing every animal is unique to that animal. So the animals are coming to life as characters just as the humans are. The book is by Rick Ellis, who I'm thinking that this might go in like his Peter and the Starcatcher bucket, right?
sure.
It's got that like resourcefulness to it. And Jessica Stone, who was just Tony nominated for her direction of Kimberly Akimbo, is directing this. So I think you have a top-notch creative team at the fore, and Isabel McCalla, who people know from The Prom, Paul Alexander Nolan, who was most recently in Parade, and Grant Gustin, who a lot of people know from television, from Glee, but also from, I believe, The Flash, are kind of our leading trio.
I see you seeing me in this moment, and you're thinking like me, it can't be just this moment.
Ruthie, you've made me excited about it.
Well, I'm doing my job then.
Mikey likes it. I've been on the Pigpen train for a long time, and it's interesting because I was writing about them when they were just basically out of college, and as this collective of young guys,
There's
making
8 of
this,
them,
and working in very small scale, intimate theaters, in New York and I mean from Pennsylvania. I'm really excited to see what they can do in this much bigger canvas because they were so inventive. They've always done this kind of shadow puppetry, these very inventive kinds of staging, and I'm very curious what they're going to do with this bigger stage.
And it is a triangle, a romantic triangle between, and again, it was based on a movie. Or actually based on a novel.
Book to movie.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Sarah Gruen, we want to give the author all the credit we can.
Right.
Another book to movie to stage musical is The Outsiders, based on the novel by S.E. Hinton. What can you tell us about that, Jen?
Well, this book has such a cult following. I mean, there have just been generations of young kids who have invested in these characters. S.E. Hinton, who is a woman, was 16 years old when she wrote this book, and it's about the clash between, it's sort of a class story, the sort of upper class kids and the lower class kids in this community. And this community of boys who live together and hang out together. The idea of it being a musical, I think, is kind of intriguing. The movie was made years ago by Francis Ford Coppola, and it introduced just about every now 50 to 60-year-old star you know. At the time, they were kids, and so Tom Cruise was in it, and Patrick Swayze, and Ralph Macchio, and help me. I mean, there were just a whole bunch of young guys who were in it, and so it's going to be interesting to see who this might bring up.
Yeah, I'm
young
really
guys
excited for this cast.
For the next generation of Broadway leading men. It might be like a nice fertile ground for them.
The book is by Adam Rapp. The
Which
music
I'll
is by
say,
Justin Levine.
Adam Rapp wrote The Sound Inside, which was a play, even though it's given the sound inside. You might think it was a musical if you didn't see it, but it was so intimate and beautiful, two-hander. And then Justin Levine plus the Jamestown Revival, another musical collective, are writing the music together. Justin Levine, I am forever impressed with that man because he did the arrangements and orchestrations as part of a team, but he kind of led that team for Moulin Rouge, the musical, which was all pop songs, but he did something that we haven't seen with pop songs, which is take a verse from this one, take a verse from that one, kind of make new songs out of that. So given his musical talent, this new collective, Adam Rapp and Danya Tamor, who directed Passover, I'm excited to see what comes of it.
All these great expectations meet these great revelations. Am I the one in control?
I think one of the things that's exciting is that we have so many new writers.
Yes.
So many new sounds.
Right.
Sounds that are contemporary sounds, but that want to do Broadway. And so it's sort of like a transitional moment. And there's so much of it that it's not just, okay, you kids play over there.
Right.
We're really sort of welcoming and saying, let's talk about today. Let's bring Broadway into today. So
And Adam, they're American. These are American musicals. I'm not sure that we've
these
covered
these
one
are all
that
American
isn't
musicals,
an American
and
musical.
I agree with what you were saying. It's really there's a wide range of styles and of eras and backgrounds that are represented by these composers. You've got, ranging from Adam Guettel, who obviously is from a long tradition in musical theater. His grandfather was Richard Rogers. His mother was Mary Rogers. And he
sounds like neither of them.
And he sounds like neither of them. He's going in his own direction, but within a tradition of sort of a lush compositional style for an old school musical. And then you get something like Pigpen, which is very indie styled, but also coming out of small scale theater. There's someone like Ingrid Michaelson, who is straight up an indie songwriter.
And Shana Taub.
Well, then you have actual jukebox musicals with pop songs by Alicia Keys, and another one by Huey Lewis and the News. So we have two jukebox musicals with actual pop songs being put onto the Broadway stage.
Adam, since you brought it up, let's talk about that. The heart of rock and roll.
Heart of rock and roll. Is it still beating?
We've been talking about musicals that are fairly serious. There's not a lot of laughs necessarily in the musicals that we've been talking about. The lightest one, I think, in our sort of lineup here is, I gather, The Heart of Rock and Roll.
The heart of rock and roll is still beating.
Could somebody please tell me what Huey Lewis and the News were most famous for? What are some of their
I Want a
famous
New
pop
Drug,
songs?
Hip to Be Square, Back in Time. They're already using the song in Back to the Future.
Yep.
They had a few big years of hits, no question. They had a big album, Sport. They were a big pop band in the 1980s.
So maybe you can follow, Days of Wine and Roses with the
Yeah,
Heart of Rock and Roll.
Of the Heart of Rock and Roll. I think it is, we do have a lot of very ambitious material in this season, not just in the musicals, but also in the plays. So this is certainly, I think you're right, a lighter option.
Another serious musical that's coming up is The Great Gatsby. It tried out at the Paper Mill Playhouse, got fairly good reviews, and one of the reasons why there are probably 5 or 6 productions of The Great Gatsby, including one at ART, and I think most of them are musical versions, is because it has just hit public domain.
Right. So next year we'll have all the Steamboat Willie musicals.
Because Mickey Mouse has just joined.
Yeah, very excited for Steamboat Willie
Great
musicals
Gatsby.
in 2026. There was a lot of competition for the narrowing highway to Broadway for all of the different competing Great Gatsby projects that have been in the works. The two most significant ones, the one at the Paper Mill and the one at American Repertory Theatre in Cambridge.
And this has Jeremy Jordan as Gatsby and Eva Noblezada as Daisy, directed by Mark Bruni.
People have been trying to put Gatsby on the stage, on television, in the movies, and it remains elusive. And so this is sort of like the Moby Dick of narrative, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can harpoon it.
I think part of the problem, and this is true of the movies as well, part of the problem is that the appeal of the book is so fundamentally literary for many people. And so that's the very thing that you lose, obviously, when you're just taking the plot and characters and moving them to another
There's
scenario.
even an opera.
So, it's been done. There was an immersive production last year that came and went.
That's
It's difficult to capture the aspect of the novel that people love the most in other versions.
Another theme that is difficult to capture, and that is an artist. Unless you're Sunday in the Park with George. That's one of the few that actually was successful in catching the world of an artist. There's one, Lempicka, Tamara Lempicka, based on the great artist. Did anybody see it? And
I saw it in Williamstown.
Oh, you did?
2018, I think that was. It was a spared down production because that was, if I'm not mistaken, the world premiere. Rachel Chavkin is one of the greatest directors we have working. She's just so inventive. She's willing to try new things. I saw that evidenced in that production, so I can only imagine in the 5 years since then, especially. We know that the silver lining of the shutdown was that people had time to marinate on things. So I imagine that it's only gotten visually and directorially in terms of story deeper and more exciting. Matt Gould wrote the music. He is outstanding. I love his music. People might remember his off-Broadway production of what was then called Invisible Thread at Second Stage. It's now gone back to a previous workshop title, Witness Uganda. It sounds stunning. Carson Kreitzer wrote a great book. It's a fascinating story. I mean, this is a woman who escaped like the Russian Revolution and became one of the people who you maybe, the whole point is you don't necessarily know her name, but if you see a painting of hers, you're like, oh, I've seen that painting before. And Eden Espinosa is going to lead as Lempicka, and you know, vocally, she's a powerhouse.
Woman is plain, lines, form. Woman is plain, color, light. Woman is speed, green, shattered. Woman is powerful.
She's also a very modern woman.
Yes.
And so her story is one that
is a feminist one.
As a feminist, as a bisexual woman, I think it would play today.
There will be 3 revivals to join, I suppose, the 2 that have already come from last fall, so there will be 5 revivals altogether. And a story that obviously we're all familiar with, and a show that we're all familiar with, is The Wiz. What do you think, Jan, knowing The Wiz so well, augurs for this production?
Well, I've heard that the young woman playing Dorothy, everybody knows the story of The Wizard of Oz, is terrific.
If this is what living must be, then give me fantasy, 'cause this is killing me.
This is such a joyous show, The Wiz, and everything about it is light and bouncy and fun. And as we've said, there isn't a lot of that in our lineup. And so people coming to the city, or people already in the city who just want to have a good time, this is a show that, you know, sticks its head up and says, you know, let's ease on down the road together.
Any expectations on this production?
I'm hopeful for it. I mean, I hope that they've done some work on the book, because that is the aspect of the show, of the original production, that has held up the least well. I saw a production a few years ago that was really struggling with that aspect of it, and on Broadway, I mean, when they recorded it for TV, they made a lot of changes to the script, and I wonder how many of those they'll keep. The original book is very episodic, and has less to do with the Wizard of Oz movie than a lot of people have come to expect of a Wizard of Oz story. But you know, we'll see how they handle that. It has such a wonderful score that sort of overrides a lot of these concerns for you know, and so I'm certainly hoping for the best.
And yet another revival of Cabaret. It just seems to keep coming back every 5. It seems like every 5 years, every 8 years, or whatever. Why is Cabaret just one of those shows that people want to do and produce, and people want to see?
Well,
and you saw this in London.
I did. I saw it in London. I will first say that I think in terms of story, it's sadly a reminder that we keep meeting. But I think more importantly, the thing that Kander and Ebb did so brilliantly was match form with content. You know, if you're seeing the Scottsboro Boys, they used the minstrel show as the device. When you see Chicago, you're seeing a vaudeville show as a story about vaudeville performers. And here with Cabaret, you're seeing a cabaret tell this story about Berlin cabarets, underground at the time of the rise of the Third Reich in Germany. I think what this production does that the roundabout ones did a little bit is make it immersive, right? You've had like the cocktail tables and people come into the audience every once in a while as an element of previous Broadway productions of cabaret, but this one takes it to an entirely new level. The way they do it in London is you cross that threshold from the outside to the inside. They put stickers on the cameras of your phones because you are now in the Kit Kat Club. In fact, when they first announced this production, they called it Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club. It didn't really stick, but that's the idea behind this, is you are going to walk into the August Wilson Theater and not know it's the August Wilson Theater. The playing space is going to be entirely in the round. There's a pre-show, so you're gonna wanna get there early, where the actors are all around. You are in a cabaret, you are getting a drink. It's really, they're getting ready for the show. You feel like they're in their dressing rooms because, at least in London, part of their dressing rooms were exposed. They were really putting on their show makeup. That was not performative. And it's Rebecca Frecknell's Broadway debut as the director.
British director.
She's fabulous. And I'm excited to see how it translates. And we're gonna get to see Eddie Redmayne back on Broadway.
Yes, Eddie Redmayne, but also Gail Rankin, who's playing Sally Bowles and who's wonderful. She was actually in the last revival of Cabaret, but she was playing Fraulein Koss. She's excellent. But also Bebe Neuwirth, who is just Stephen Skeibel as Fraulein Schneider. You know, so there's a reason it keeps coming back. It's because it's one of the great musicals ever written, Broadway musicals.
We have to round out this portion of musicals with The Who's Tommy, Jan.
Yeah.
I think we've all saw previous incarnations of it. What do you think about it coming around again? It was very well reviewed in its out-of-town tryout.
Yeah, it was. It was. And it, too, is sort of in a way like a grandfather, if you will, of this new sound, this new approach to Broadway.
You can have my favorite table, he could be my best. The kids all need a bed, and it just goes to rest. You got crazy little fingers, never seen you fall. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays a mean pin.
And Des McAnuff is doing it again.
Yes, he is. He did it originally,
Yeah, I know
and
he
Pete
did it
Townsend
originally.
is
And so,
involved.
so it'll be interesting to see how he's evolved with it, and the show has evolved.
because it's sung through, I believe, as well, right? There is no, per se,
I don't remember
book scenes that I recall.
I don't remember dialogue.
I don't remember dialogue.
Quite frankly, I never saw a production of Tommy, but I did it in college.
Oh, what did you do? Did you do the Acid Queen?
I was in the ensemble. I was just, there to be there, Patrick.
And Tina Turner played the Acid Queen in the film of The Who's
And
Tommy.
Anne Margaret had the baked beans.
The famous.
Famous and beloved baked beans.
I don't think we'll
I'm
see
most
baked
excited
beans.
to see Bobby Conte as Cousin Kevin. I think after what we saw him do in Company, it's going to be really interesting to see what he does with a role like that. But all of the talk is about our leading man, Ali.
And so, wow, it seems like we were on speed dial or speed dating.
I do think
So
we
we just-
were. I do think we were.
We just dated all these musicals. I don't know which one we'll choose, but the viewers can decide which ones they're going to choose. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll continue our discussion, this time the must-sees among the Broadway plays, with Ruthie Fierberg of Broadway News, Adam Feldman of Time Out New York, and theater journalist Jan Simpson. I'm Patrick Pacheco. We are back with plays. 4 new plays to join the 7 that have already opened. 11 new plays, only one of which I believe is British. They're all new American playwrights, but we'll get to that. An American playwright, Amy Herzog, has written Mary Jane. What do we know about it, Jan?
Mary Jane played a few years ago, I think. And then it was with Carrie Coon. And it's a play about a mother who has a severely disabled child and the community of people who surround her and support her. This version is starring Rachel McAdams, who
was mentioned earlier because
she
Star
was
of The
in
Notebook.
The Notebook.
Yes.
This is
Broadway
her.
debut.
It's her stage debut, isn't it?
Oh.
First time on
I
stage.
I think so.
That's brave.
And it's a 90-minute play. It's packed with emotion. Annie Kaufman, who directed that original production that Amy Herzog did, is also directing this production. And I think part of its pathos, even if you don't know this, it rings through, is because Amy Herzog herself has a disabled child, and so she's writing from her core.
Wow.
And it's a moving play and a wonderful showcase for an actress.
This was my favorite play in the year that it debuted. It won the New York Drama Critics Circle Award that year for Best Play. It is, I think, just a gorgeous piece of writing. It is heartbreaking, but in a completely non-manipulative way. It is beautiful. It is inspiring in its way. It is sad. It's one of those plays that I will not forget seeing the first time. I hope that this one lives up to it. Amy Herzog has a very big season because in addition to this play, she's also done a new adaptation of An Enemy of the People that her husband Sam Gold is directing.
When you see a play, what is key to not feeling manipulated by the playwright?
I think it definitely helps if the dialogue feels natural. That's something that I look for in plays. Which I don't know if we should skip to what I'm most excited about, because I think it succeeds at this.
Go ahead, skip to it.
I am beyond excited for Stereophonic to come to Broadway. It was at Playwrights Horizons this past fall, had absolutely no plans to go anywhere, but the buzz, rightfully so, is, I mean, it's a din at this point. It is about 5 bandmates making their sophomore album after their first album was a surprise hit. Spoiler alert, it's essentially a Fleetwood Mac story to people who live under a rock like myself. I was like, this story's amazing, because I listen to cast albums all day. But the story will be familiar to fans of mainstream music and Fleetwood Mac, but it's original music by Arcade Fire's Will Butler that is diegetic in that it is set entirely in a recording studio, and
we should say it's by David Adjmi.
Yes, thank you. By David Adjmi, directed by Daniel Auken, and the alchemy between the two of them is just off the charts because of what they've created. But it takes place only in the recording studio. You're watching some sessions, you're watching the drama that happens, you're watching what happens before they decide to put on their instruments in the recording studio. It is the most natural dialogue, like you're just a fly on the wall.
And is it about a breakup of the band?
It's about the process.
It's about the process of making
of
the
splitting
album.
apart?
Yeah. Well, it splits it apart and then it
this
combines
album,
it. Yeah.
And like, then when the album comes out, the things that you have to decide, even if you're not currently recording and wherever the relationships are with each other in the band, and then are you going to tour, and how you have to come together, come apart, and there's a lot of coming together and coming apart.
Yeah, it's not a musical, but it's set in a recording studio, so there is a lot of music that comes into play, but you see the music being deconstructed and then reconstructed a lot. You hear different sort of pullouts of different, almost like the way that tracks might happen in the recording of a studio album. You have these sort of tracks of emotional storytelling and of music that then get layered onto each other to become the final production that is this play. It's beautifully done.
And the actors play.
The acting is fantastic. The actors do play instruments, and a lot of the play is about the dynamics between these musicians, and it is layered because you've got 5 musicians in the band, and so it's layered in that way. And it's also about when you're working on something together with a group of people. You don't have to be musicians. You don't have to be creative. You've got a project, there are 5 of you, you care about it, there's going to be tension. And that's really at the crux of the show. So anyone who's ever worked with anyone else on anything will identify with what's going on here. You know, the person who's passive aggressive about power, the knucklehead who's always late and is always goofing up, the person who's, you know, the goody person who's going to let you know that they are always right. It's really, and the actors are just so excellent in their role.
Well, we'll see the authenticity in the next play, which is the Mother play. We'll see the authenticity, which I'm sure will come across with Jim Parsons, Celia Keenan-Bolger, and Jessica Lange in a Paula Vogel play. And I think, Jan, you were mentioning
This is
straight to Broadway, no tryout.
This is the play the show that I'm most looking forward to this season. This is the first Paula Vogel play that's coming directly to Broadway with this fantastic cast, and it's about a mother. One should assume a somewhat overbearing, domineering mother, and she is helping her teenage, young adult children move into an apartment. Paula herself is the daughter of a mother who raised 2 children on her own, and she had a brother whom she adored. And I suspect there will be some sort of, you know, semi-biographical traits in this. It's directed by Tina Landau. I just can't wait to see this one.
Anticipating it highly, Adam?
Oh, I'm very much looking forward to it. She's a wonderful playwright, and there were other sort of if I'm recalling correctly, there were autobiographical elements in Baltimore Waltz involving her brother.
Right.
And How I Learned to Drive.
Yeah, and How I Learned to Drive. So I you know, she certainly has a history of drawing on that sort of thing. She's also a very inventive. You know, I don't know if naturalistic is the word that I would use for her, but she's found her own voice in theater, and it's been a very influential one because she's also been a very influential teacher and mentor to other playwrights. So there's a whole school of modern playwriting that owes a lot to her blend of theatricality and detail.
Ruthie, do you find that her dialogue, as you were saying, is naturalistic in terms of there's a natural authenticity to it?
I don't know. I think there's definitely an element of that. I think her stories just feel like different stories than anything we're hearing. And there's definitely emotional honesty there. Yeah, I wouldn't say that naturalistic dialogue is the only measure for playwriting by any means. And
it's not what they all aspire to either.
Right, and certainly, I think that what Paula does is like she plays with structure in a really interesting way.
Right.
Indecent is a really good example of that. And so I'm interested to see how she's telling this story.
And I think you put your finger on by saying emotional honesty to what I asked earlier, which was, when do you not feel manipulated in the theater?
And that is when comes down to the performances and the direction. It can't be overwrought.
That there is
no matter what the dialogue is.
When you don't feel like you're getting the full picture. So the deeper and more complicated the characters are, the more you as an audience member feel torn morally or intellectually in examining what you're seeing. For me, that's a more satisfying experience. You don't feel like you're being benighted by the playwright. You don't feel like you're being blinkered by the playwright.
And I think that's probably will be true of the next play up for discussion, My Son's a Queer, But What Can You Do? Now, this is from the Edinburgh Festival. It did play, I believe, the West End. It's a 65-minute piece by Rob Madge, who also stars in it.
When I was a kid, I was that gay that put on a Disney parade in my hall for my grandma. I had such high hopes, but unfortunately it went hideously wrong.
Anything is possible when the stage is your living room. Anything is possible with umbrellas, a suitcase and a broom.
What do you think, Jan?
I'm looking forward to this. There was a profile of Rob Madge, who uses, I believe, they, them pronouns.
Yes.
And very often when we're telling stories about marginalized groups, be it racially marginalized or sexually marginalized, the stories are stories of uplift, or they're tragic stories. This is a kid who was a very gay little boy, and his parents were so totally supportive, and they were celebrating their child from the get-go. This is a story that I think is going to put a smile on people's faces. It's about love, it's about acceptance, it's about not tolerating or putting up with your kid. It's a play about loving your kid, and yes, encouraging your kid to be the best of whatever they are.
I think among the three revivals, they're not likely to put a smile on your face, like the play we just discussed.
If they do, it might be a problem. Although one of them has comedic elements.
Are you talking about Uncle Vanya?
Yeah, I know, it's complicated.
I mean, it is billed as a comedy, obviously, because it's Chekhov. Uncle Vanya is a classic, obviously, and Ibsen's An Enemy of the People is also a classic. These get done fairly often. This is the 10th Broadway production, I think, for both of them. Maybe more of Uncle Vanya. You're looking skeptical.
I don't know. I was trying to think if I knew the answer, but I'm going to go with you, Patrick.
Well, that's your first mistake. Anyway, why do you think that Uncle Vanya is so popular in revival?
I think you're more suited to talk about Vanya. I might be more suited to talk about Enemy of the People.
So take Vanya.
Well, first of all, let me say it has really emerged in recent years as the one that everyone seems to want to do.
Cast?
Yeah, and the cast, it's got a very well spread ensemble cast. So it's got very actable roles, deep and interesting. When we're talking about complicated roles, this is Chekhov is the gold standard for that. These parts are all very rich.
Steve Carell.
Beautiful. Oh, well, in this production, you've got Steve Carell, who's playing the title role, Uncle Vanya. And he's a frustrated older man working with his niece, Sonia, administering basically this estate on behalf of others who are owners of the estate, and who feel. And he feels, certainly by the end of the play, very mistreated and overlooked, and like his life has been wasted. But the other parts in the play are also really rewarding. And you've got an amazing cast doing it here. You've got Alfred Molina, you've got Anika Noni Rose, whom I love. You've got William Jackson Harper as the doctor character that Chekhov seems to always love.
Because he was a doctor.
Yeah, Jane Herschel. And it's a wonderful cast that Lincoln Center has put together. And Lila Neugebauer is directing it.
She's also so good at working with a large ensemble and with actors. She is someone who just elicits emotional truth from her actors. She's a terrific director.
Absolutely.
She's sort of what I'd put her in the vein of a Mike Nichols director, where she knows how to talk to actors to allow them to reveal their characters.
And obviously Jeremy Strong, who was a star in Succession, wants to put his stamp on An Enemy of the People.
Yes, he does.
Why do you think that is, Ruthie?
Well, he has a long-standing friendship with Amy Herzog and Sam Gold, and they had been talking about, with Succession ending, what could we do together? Because Jeremy is an animal of the stage, as it were.
Animal's a good word for it.
At least for his character in Succession. But I think that he's an actor who wants a challenge always. He is looking to sink his teeth into something. And him opposite Michael Imperioli, I think, is going to be thrilling. I'm excited to see Amy Herzog's take on another Ibsen. She adapted A Doll's House last year, which I thought was a fantastic adaptation. I saw An Enemy of the People at Park Avenue Armory in a solo adaptation that was really interesting. And the thing is, coming out of the pandemic where details were scant and muddied in the beginning days because we learned later how much do we share with the public. This is exactly that story about a town in Norway that the economy thrives off of its waters in a spa, and then the waters, a doctor sees that the waters have a certain level of a substance that could be poisonous. How do you tell people? When do you tell people? How much do you tell people? I think it's going to spark a lot of debate, which is what the best theater does.
Well, yeah, and I think that in a way, just as Uncle Vanya has emerged as the new top Chekhov, I think Enemy of the People has become the new top Ibsen, even more than Doll's House. Although, you know, there's some contention with those two. It's still both very popular. But I think Ibsen, this particular Enemy of the People speaks to the modern conflict in a different way. Doll's House will always sort of seem to some extent like a late 19th century play in terms of the social world that's imagining for its lead characters. Whereas this one, the conflict between the individual and the society that is at the heart of this play feels like it can sort of resonate throughout different time periods in a continually modern way. And so this one, I think that it's one of those plays also that actors, especially actors like Jeremy Strong, who like exploring negative characters or dislikable characters, actors like that would really enjoy engaging with this, because this is a character whom everyone else on stage dislikes.
The last time this was on Broadway, I think Richard Thomas played the part, and I think Jeremy Strong is. This is no shade on Richard Thomas, who I like as an actor and probably as a person, but I think this is more a Jeremy Strong kind of role. So.
Another play that deals with moral questions and moral ambiguities, obviously, is John Patrick Shanley's Doubt, which is in revival. And of course, has again actors like Liev Schreiber, who's very comfortable in dealing with moral ambiguities, and Tyne Daly as well, and also Quincy Tyler Bernstein and Zoe Kazan as
It's
the
a
young
great
nun.
cast. It's
a
a great
wonderful cast, directed by Scott Ellis. What do you think it has to say to our time, Jan?
I don't know. It's a play that I saw multiple times when it ran, and it is one of those plays that Adam was talking about earlier that doesn't feed you an answer. It opens up questions for you to explore, and I don't think, for me, the movie was as successful as although it had Meryl Streep and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
And Viola Davis.
And
Viola Davis. So,
Bad
quite a
scene.
cast.
I believe this man is creating, or may have already brought about, an improper relationship with your son.
I don't know.
I know. I am right.
Why you gotta know something like that for sure when you don't?
What kind of mother are you?
Excuse me, but you don't know enough about life to say a thing like that, sister.
I know enough.
You know the rules maybe, but that don't cover it.
I know what I won't accept.
You accept what you gotta accept and you work with it.
This man is in my school.
Well, he's gotta be somewhere. Maybe he's doing some good too.
After the boys.
Or maybe some of them boys want to get caught.
Naturally, there was a lot of conversation at the time, did he or didn't he? And people asking John Patrick Shanley, what the answer was, or what. But I think that the point of the play, to some extent, is that the answer is unknowable, or not just that answer, but even if the unknowability keeps extending, no matter which path you choose, to believe. So even if you believe one thing, then that raises other paths of doubt about what other convictions you have or why you have them.
Ruthie, you get the last word.
Yeah, I think it might be the most important, if I dare use that word, play that we've been talking about, because the title is so apt, because it's not, while the plot is exactly as you described, Adam, I wouldn't contradict that. It is not about that. It is about doubt. It is about how we as a society, what do we doubt? Who do we doubt? Why do we doubt? It is about that feeling. And I think what's fascinating about the timing of the original is that that was in a moment when perhaps we doubted more whether Catholic priests were capable of this, right? They're the leaders of a faith, of a movement that, professes the good behaviors of the world. So, and yet today, I think the easiest punchline everywhere is something about a Catholic priest. So the doubt has really shifted in that we don't doubt those stories as much anymore. And today the doubt we're having is more when it comes to he said, she said stories of sexual abuse. And it actually gives me hope that, oh my God, maybe in 20 years from now, we're going to say the doubt has shifted again, and that we are believing more people of survivors of that kind of abuse.
And doubt, as Mother Teresa pointed out, doubt is the foundation of faith, that you can't have faith. So we now have a crisis of faith in our institutions, in our church, in the theater to some extent, however we phrase that or however we think of that. It's been a fascinating conversation, and I'm not only breathless, but I'm excited. And you've made me excited about what we've just discussed, and I hope that the viewers are excited as well. So I can't thank you enough. Jan, Adam, Ruthie, and I am so now looking forward to the spring season.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. And thank you for joining us. We look forward to bringing you more fascinating conversations with theatrical artists and professionals who work and live only to astonish us. I'm Patrick Pacheco.